The tow cables were wrapped around my porch. Not my car. Not a lawn ornament. My porch. And there I was, sitting calmly in a lawn chair, sipping lemonade like I wasn't about to be illegally relocated by the HOA's very own tactical landscaping team. Am I hallucinating? Is this a weird fever dream? Or is Karen really standing there, in a reflective vest that says, Enforcement Commander, giving the signal to drag my house off its foundation? Boom! The winch whined to life. The porch groaned like it knew this wasn't in its retirement plan. That's when I realized they weren't here for compliance. They were here for conquest. 2 weeks earlier, I got a letter from the HOA that said, "Your porch is 11 inches over the aesthetic harmony guideline. Please remove it." I thought it was a typo. Turns out it was a threat. Before we dive into this madness, where a porch becomes a battlefield and the HOA becomes a wannabe SWAT team, make sure to subscribe if you like watching petty suburban warfare escalate into full-blown civil disobedience. Hit that like button if you've ever had a neighbor who thought clipboards gave them legal power. And drop a comment telling me your worst HOA horror story. Bonus points if it involves garden gnomes. Let me paint you a picture. Saturday morning, 7:42 a.m. Birds chirping, coffee in hand, the smell of dew on the grass. I'm out on my porch in my slippers, robe, and a shirt that says, "Born to mow, forced to comply." The lawn's a little long, yeah, but in a proud, dignified way, like it's stretching its legs after a good rain. That's when I hear it, the unmistakable crunch of orthopedic shoes on gravel. And just like that, peace dies a dramatic death. There she is, Beverly, the new HOA president. The second coming of Mussolini, but with a bob cut and a clipboard. She stops dead center on my sidewalk like she's reenacting a crime scene and stares at my lawnmower like it just kicked her poodle. "That thing," she says, pointing at my 1972 Rustmaster Deluxe, "violates Article 6.3 of the Community Aesthetic Protocol." I blinked. "The what?" "The CAP," she says, like I should know what the hell that means. "We sent an updated digital copy to your HOA portal last week." I don't have a portal, or a password, or a single damn to give. She doesn't laugh. She never does. Now look, I'm not unreasonable. I know my mower's old. It wheezes like a chain smoker on a treadmill and leaks more oil than a conspiracy theory. But she's my girl. She's been with me since I bought this house. She's got character, soul, rust in all the right places. Beverly sees it differently. That machine is a threat to neighborhood uniformity. Oh, we're using Cold War language now. Threat? I smile. "Beverly, with all due respect, your face is a threat to my coffee, but I don't call the cops about it." She narrows her eyes and scribbles something on her clipboard like she's writing my obituary. Failure to remove the non-compliant equipment within 72 hours will result in escalating fines and potential legal action. Then she turns and marches off, probably to go fine a toddler for sidewalk chalk abuse. Now let me rewind and give you the setup. I retired last year. Bought myself a peaceful little ranch-style house in a sleepy suburb with friendly neighbors and quiet charm. According to the real estate ad that must have been written by a pathological liar. Enter the HOA. At first, it was harmless, just Carentier nonsense like mailbox height regulations and holiday light curfews. Nothing I couldn't ignore. But then Beverly got elected in a special vote that nobody remembers happening. Since then, she's been ruling this place like it's the Hoanian Empire. Fines for mismatched mulch. Citations for aggressive lawn edge curvature. She even made a guy repaint his fence because it was too assertively off-white. And now it's me, my lawnmower, my crime, nostalgia, and a functioning engine. So what do? Do I cave in, junk my girl, and buy one of those HOA-approved electric buzzers that sounds like a dying hairdryer? Hell, no. I roll her out front, park her proudly on the lawn like she's on display at the Smithsonian. I wipe her down, polish the hood, even rig up a little sign that says, "Antique American Engineering Exhibit, EST 1972. Petty? Yes. Effective? Oh, you have no idea. By Monday morning, half the neighborhood has walked by. Some snicker, some nod in respect. One guy even leaves a post-it that says, My dad had this exact model. Legend. But the moment Beverly sees it, her soul tries to leave her body through her nose. She storms up, red in the face, shrieking about bylaws and heritage permits and unregulated displays. I calmly sip my coffee and point to the little American flag I've stuck in the gas tank. It's a historical artifact, protected under the Freedom to Preserve Vintage Machinery Act. Spoiler, I made that up. She's fuming, actually vibrating, scribbles out a fine and slaps it onto the mower. $500. For improper equipment exhibition. Like I'm running a damn museum. Now I could pay it. I could appeal it. I could even ignore it. But instead I go nuclear. I post the whole thing on the neighborhood Facebook group. Picture, caption, fine and all. Title? Beverly vs. The Mosiah. By noon it's gone viral. Not internet viral, suburban viral. I get 6 messages from other residents, 3 anonymous letters of support, and 1 fresh-baked lasagna from an old lady named Ruth who says Beverly once fined her for feeding ducks. Suddenly, it's not just my fight. It's a movement. People start digging out their own weird old lawn gear. Someone drags out a 1980s weed whacker. Another guy puts googly eyes on his hedge trimmer and calls it Blade. The HOA board calls an emergency meeting. The word uprising gets thrown around. And Beverly? She retaliates. So there I am, sitting on my porch watching the HOA lose its collective mind in real time. Beverly's fine is still taped to my lawnmower like it's a parking ticket from hell. I've even laminated it for preservation purposes. Adds a certain Jene go mow yourself flair to the front yard. Neighbors keep strolling by, taking photos, giving little fist bumps, whispering like I've just become the Rosa Parks of suburban landscaping. But then, oh ho, then Beverly retaliates. First, she calls a mandatory emergency compliance meeting. Slaps flyers on every door with words like urgent, code red, and aesthetic crisis. Real Homeland Security vibes. She even adds a little watermark on the flyer, a gold lion standing on a lawnmower. Beverly's created an HOA seal. I swear on my hedge trimmers, this woman thinks she's building a suburban Vatican. Anyway, I don't show up to her meeting, obviously, but I do send a representative. A cardboard cutout of me wearing a t-shirt that says, "Don't tread on my turf." It's holding a toy weed whacker and a can of beer. She is not amused. The next morning, I receive a certified letter titled, Notice of Non-Compliance Escalation. Level 2, Hostile Landscaping. Hostile landscaping. Apparently, my mower display has created a spirit of rebellion, undermined community values, and inspired unapproved aesthetic deviations. I'm now being fined $1,200. And get this, they've created a brand new infraction just for me. Excessive lawn equipment worship. I read that line 3 times just to make sure it wasn't a hallucination from sniffing too much mower gas. I laugh. I laugh until I choke on my coffee. Then I frame the letter and hang it in my hallway right next to my grandpa's Purple Heart. Because clearly we're both veterans of very different wars. But here's where it gets juicy. A few days later, I wake up to the sound of humming. I peek through the blinds and what do I see? A marching line of HOA enforcers, clipboard brigade in full formation, matching polos, khaki pants so crisp they could slice bread, and leading the charge, like General Patton on her morning power walk. Beverly. They don't knock, they post. Signs. Everywhere. Zone violation. This property is under aesthetic review. Do not engage with resident. Do not engage with resident. Am I radioactive now? They post one on my tree, one on my mailbox, one on the mower which honestly felt like a hate crime. My neighbor Ron. Good guy, big grill energy, tries to say hi as he walks his dog, and Beverly just hisses at him like a cornered possum. She writes him up for fraternizing with a non-compliant homeowner. And that's when I realize something. This isn't about me anymore. It's about control. She's not just trying to bury my mower. She's trying to break me, then parade around with my metaphorical head on a pike made of recycled fencing. So I do what any rational person would do. I start a resistance movement. We call it the Blades of Liberty. We don't wear uniforms. We wear irony. Our motto, let the grass grow where it may. Our meetings, backyard barbecues with lawn chair strategy sessions. I recruit Ron, Ruth, the lasagna legend, and Steve from down the street. Guy's got a leaf blower that sounds like a small jet engine. He's been fined 7 times for volumetric disturbances. So he's ready for war. We start slow. Coordinated mowings at 6:01 a.m. The exact minute noise restrictions lift. Loud, obnoxious, synchronized like angry landscaping flash mobs. We ride into battle in rows, mowing like we're forming up at Gettysburg. Ruth even duct tapes a garden gnome to the front of her mower like it's a war mascot. She names it General Clippings. But Beverly? She's not done. She installs cameras on HOA-approved poles aimed at my yard. One even zooms. I wave at them daily. Sometimes I do jazz hands. Then I notice something strange. A motion sensor near my fence, hidden in the bush. Beverly's gone NSA on me. So I borrow a leaf blower and accidentally knock it over while clearing some clippings. It malfunctions and sprays grass into the HOA's hydrangea garden. I get hit with a $300 fine for weaponized foliage dispersal. I frame that one too. But the real kicker? She launches the Neighborhood Molympics, an actual HOA-sponsored event where homeowners compete for Best Lawn, Cleanest Curb, and the coveted Golden Blade Award. I wasn't invited, but I was entered anyway. As what, you ask? Exhibit B, what not to do. Oh, Beverly, you sweet, power-drunk shrub witch. You just declared open war. So I start plotting. Quietly, carefully, spitefully. Because I know something she doesn't. Something that will absolutely break her brain, and maybe the HOA entirely. I file an application with the county. A little-known, rarely used process designed to protect culturally significant objects. And in 2 weeks, my mower, it becomes a registered landmark. 2 weeks. That's how long it took for the county clerk's office to process my request. I half expected them to laugh me off the phone when I asked about cultural designation for small engine equipment. But no, turns out the system's just as weird as I am. Apparently, there's a provision buried deep in the county code for historic tools of mechanical significance. For preserving antique tractors, butter churns, or whatever the hell a silage baler is. I just used it for my lawnmower. The form was a glorious bureaucratic relic. Triple carbon copy, 3 witness signatures, and a place for a pencil sketch of the object. I drew the Rust Master like it was a Renaissance oil painting. Shading, labels, arrow pointing to a rust hole labeled character. And then, it happened. I got the certificate. Framed, notarized, sealed in county ink. The Rust Master was now a historic landmark. I practically floated home, certificate in hand, planning the pettiest lawn unveiling in the history of suburban warfare. Saturday, 3 p.m. It was a beautiful day for chaos. I wore a suit jacket and flip-flops. Ruth baked cookies shaped like little lawnmowers. Ron set up speakers playing patriotic music, the Star-Spangled Banner but played entirely on kazoo. The Blades of Liberty assembled in full force. We even printed fake tickets for the ceremony. Admission, 1 petty grudge. And there she was, right on time, Beverly, standing across the street, arms folded, wearing a shade of beige so aggressive it probably violated its own dress code. She marched over mid-anthem, veins throbbing in her temple. "This is not authorized," she hissed. "Oh, but it is," I said, smiling like a man with diplomatic immunity. "Allow me to present the certificate." I held it out like the Declaration of Independence. She snatched it, eyes darting, lips moving as she read. Her face turned the color of expired yogurt. This is a joke." "Nope. County sanctioned. You're looking at an official historic preservation zone." I gestured broadly to my lawn like I was unveiling Mount Rushmore. "And that," I pointed to the Rust Master, now lovingly spotlighted by a solar-powered flood lamp, "is an irreplaceable piece of suburban heritage." You could actually hear her ego crumbling like a graham cracker in hot tea. She sputtered something about revoking permits and legal consequences, but it was too late. Ron handed her a commemorative program. Ruth offered a cookie. Beverly stomped off before we even started the ceremonial ribbon cutting. Yes, there was a ribbon and a pair of hedge shears. I thought that was the peak. But oh, we weren't even close. Because the next week, Steve got elected to the HOA board. Let me explain. Turns out, the HOA bylaws, the ones Beverly lords over like HOA Hammurabi, have a clause that says any dues-paying member can run for a seat. And thanks to an earlier HOA stunt where they accidentally charged Steve twice, he technically had dual residency status in their system. So he ran. He won. Unopposed. Because nobody else wanted to be on the HOA. Go figure. Suddenly, we had an insider. A mole. A grassrooted informant, if you will. First thing Steve did? Start forwarding me the meeting minutes. Here are some highlights. Beverly's proposed Lawn Code 47A. Prohibiting equipment over 10 years old from being visible. A $25 reward program for residents who report unsanctioned yard expressions. A proposal for mandatory lawn audits, which is just as terrifying as it sounds. She was building an aesthetic surveillance state. But Steve had a plan. See, while Beverly was busy waging war on my mower, she didn't notice her own front yard had gone slightly out of regulation. Her flower beds? Technically 18 inches past the allowed depth. Her fence? A quarter inch too tall. Her solar gnome? Not on the HOA-approved ornament list. Steve filed a formal violation report. Beverly tried to block it, but he cited her own rules, the ones she laminated and handed out like gospel. Her expression at the next HOA meeting, according to Steve, resembled a cat being forced into a bath. And just like that, the board turned on her. Because once you break your own sacred rules, you're no longer the Messiah, just another martyr in khakis. Of course, she didn't take it well. The next morning, I found a giant sign nailed to the neighborhood welcome board.
Đèn xoay báo hiệu xe cảnh sát hoa ALERT. UNAUTHORIZEG Landmark INVLIG đèn xoay báo hiệu xe cảnh sát.
The Rustmaster is not recognized by Simmons Neighborhood Protocol. All who honor it shall be fined. Glory to the code. Glory to the grass. I wish I was kidding. She had gone full cult leader. People were whispering glory to the grass in line at the grocery store. So I upped the ante. That night, I projected a hologram of the Rustmaster onto my garage using an old holiday light projector and a shower curtain, set to the soundtrack of Gladiator. The next morning, HOA drone flying overhead. So I did what any sane man would do. Painted a giant QR code on my lawn. What did it link to? A copy of Beverly's own HOA training video from 5 years ago, where she explicitly states, the HOA has no jurisdiction over designated historical objects as defined by county code. Oops, let me tell you a little secret about tyrants. They always plan one big, flashy event to cement their legacy. The Romans had their parades. Dictators have their statues. Beverly? She had the Molympics. A celebration of community lawn excellence, she called it. A thinly veiled propaganda stunt, we called it. Flyers went out across the neighborhood. Glossy paper, HOA seal front and center. Still that damn lion on the mower. Looking like Simba took over landscaping. It promised a day of games, prizes, and public demonstrations of proper yard etiquette. Beverly even got local businesses to sponsor it, the bank, the pest control guys, the freaking mulch store. She rented a bounce house. She booked a local cover band called Blade and the Clippings. She ordered 500 miniature HOA flags. But here's the kicker. She planned it on my street, right in front of my house. Coincidence? Please, that was an act of suburban war. So the Blades of Liberty met under cover of dusk. Ruth, Ron, Steve, still technically an HOA board member, bless him, and me. We didn't meet in a basement or secret lair. No, we met in Ron's backyard shed, surrounded by paint cans and half-eaten granola bars. And there, under the flickering light of a bug zapper, we plotted her downfall. Operation Sod and Subterfuge. The plan: sabotage the Molympics events without technically breaking any rules. Hijack the opening ceremony with our own historical dedication. revealed Beverly's HOA frauds in front of the whole neighborhood. It was bold. It was petty. It was glorious. Event day. Picture this. The street's been blocked off. Lawn chairs are lined up like pews at a religious revival. Tables full of HOA swag, brochures, branded visors, stress balls shaped like hedges. Beverly's out front, holding a megaphone, wearing a sun hat the size of a satellite dish and a sash that says, Lawn Queen 2025. The games begin. Event 1, the Precision Mow. Contestants mow a 6-foot square patch of grass with HOA-approved push mowers. Judges grade on neatness and pattern. Our mole Steve accidentally adjusted the measuring guides the night before. The patches are all skewed. Nobody notices until the mowers start carving lawn crop circles like confused aliens. Chaos. Confusion. A toddler eats a grass clump. Beverly's smile twitches. Event 2, the mulch toss. Teams toss bags of mulch into designated bins. Points for accuracy. We switched out the mulch. Filled half the bags with sand and one with glitter. When Ruth hurls hers, the bag bursts open midair. A glitter bomb mushroom cloud. A kid screams, "Fabulous!" And the band starts playing Firework by Katy Perry. The HOA tent is now covered in shimmer. Beverly looks like she got mugged by a drag show. Event 3, Lawn Trivia. Ron rigs the trivia microphone to play sound bites from Beverly's unofficial HOA podcast, where she once said, "Honestly, I just make up half the rules and dare them to challenge me." The crowd pauses. Murmurs ripple. Beverly yanks the mic mid-quote and declares a technical issue. But the real show happens next. Right as she's calling everyone to gather for the closing ceremony and the big Golden Blade Award, Steve walks on stage. Calm, smiling, holding an envelope. "Before we continue," he says, "I have a special presentation. On behalf of the County Historical Board." Beverly blinks. "I present to you the official landmark certificate for the Rustmaster." He turns. I step out of my garage. Behind me, the Rustmaster is mounted on a rotating platform, courtesy of a borrowed barbecue spit motor. A spotlight glints off her oil stains like diamonds. Gasps. Whispers. Someone starts slow clapping. Beverly charges the stage. "This is a hijack," she shrieks. "This is unauthorized." But she doesn't realize her microphone is still hot. So the crowd hears every word as she screams. "This neighborhood is mine. These sheep follow me. I don't care about your stupid mower. I'll bulldoze your house if I have to." Silence. Then, Steve pulls out the binder. The one with Beverly's fake fine templates. The fake resignation letters from other board members. A copy of the HOA training video. And, cherry on top, an email where she admits to using HOA funds to install a hot tub she claims is a community wellness investment. A hot tub. Beverly lives alone. I step up next to Steve, take the mic and say, "According to Section 9B of the HOA Charter, which I now know better than the lyrics to Free Bird, any president found in gross violation of fiduciary trust can be removed by a 2/3 vote of attendees." I turn to the crowd. All in favor? Hands shoot up. Even the damn mulch guy raises his hand. Beverly? She looks like someone just canceled her Wi-Fi mid-Zoom call. Then she screeches, literally screeches, rips the Golden Blade trophy from the table, and bolts. She trips over a garden hose, face plants into a kiddie pool filled with dyed blue water, and comes up looking like a smurf having a breakdown. Later that evening, the HOA board votes Steve as interim president. The Rustmaster is inducted into the neighborhood newsletter under the title Local Treasure. Ruth sells gnome-shaped cookies called Beverly Bites. Ron gets hired by the HOA to write new community regulations, starting with "Don't be a tyrant." And me, I get a street mural. Some local teen, budding graffiti artist, paints a massive portrait of the Rustmaster on my garage door, surrounded by sparkles and the words, "Let freedom mow." It's been 3 weeks since the Great Molympic Massacre. The Rustmaster is still parked in my yard, perched atop a decorative pallet I painted gold, surrounded by solar lights and 2 lawn gnomes saluting. Ruth knitted it a tiny flag cape. Ron calls it the Iron Throne of Suburbia. I call it therapy. The HOA? Let's just say, it's under new management. Steve's president now, and instead of clipboards and veiled threats, we get emails titled, "Hey, you good?" HOA meetings have snacks, minutes that don't read like war decrees, and a strict ban on beige. We replace the bylaws with a one-page document that says, "Be cool. Mow your lawn. Don't be Beverly." Printed, laminated, framed. Honestly, for the first time since I moved here, things are peaceful. Kids ride bikes again. Neighbors wave instead of whisper. Someone even threw an unofficial block party and nobody got fined for improper bunting. I sleep better. So does the Rust Master. But like all good stories, there's a wrinkle. It starts with a van. Not just any van, a beige van.
No logos.
Tinted windows. Parked at the far end of the street for 3 days now. Different spots. Same van. Always empty. Always facing my house. At first, I figure it's some Amazon delivery guy lost in the HOA matrix. But then it shows up again. Night. Headlights off. Ron sees it too. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" He mutters over a shared cup of suspicious cam footage. Karen 2.0? Or Beverly 1.0? Back for revenge. And here's the thing. We never saw Beverly after the Olympics. No for sale sign. No moving truck. No next-door farewell post full of passive-aggressive scripture. She just vanished. Like a fart in a windstorm. Some say she moved in with her sister. Others say she's squatting in a gated community pretending to be their HOA consultant. But me, I think she's planning something. Because a few days later I get a letter. Hand-delivered. No return address. Just a wax seal, gold of course, and inside, typed in font so official it probably wears a suit. "You may have won the neighborhood, but the game has just begun. We'll be watching."
No signature.
Just a stamp that says, "The Unified Suburban Council, Division B." Ron reads it. Snorts. "You know what this means, right?" I sigh, sipping my coffee, staring at the van out my window. "Yep," I say. "It's a franchise." So here I am again. On my porch, mower by my side, wearing a shirt that says, "Come and trim it." The neighborhood's quiet. For now. But I know suburban empires don't die easy. They regroup. They rebrand. They resurface under names like Community Harmony Initiative or the Law and Order Task Force. But they forget one thing. We don't fear the clipboard anymore. We fear nothing except HOA potlucks. Because once you've faced fines, sabotage, glitter bombs, and a woman who tried to legally annex your driveway, you come out sharper, wiser, more pettily dangerous. So to whoever's in that beige van, go ahead. Watch. Because if you mess with the bull, you get the blades. And this time, we mow first. If you enjoyed watching Karen's HOA raid go down faster than her landscaping budget, smash that like button like it's an unauthorized fence. Subscribe for more HOA takedowns, neighborhood rebellions, and the sweet, sweet sound of justice served through petty revenge. And don't forget to comment. Whose side are you on? The Clipboard Commandos or Team Porch?